And I want to tell you that I'm so grateful to you for taking the time out of your busy lives to come here and wait to see me. That's touched me deeply, so thank you.
You know, one of the songs, that really, I mean, obviously we know, in fact, we have Hoagie Carmichael's son here with us today, I should mention.
We really do.
Yeah, that's...
Hoagie, I don't know where you are. I know you're somewhere. Would you mind saying hello to the people? Here he is. I'm sorry, we didn't want to put you on the spot, but it is so precious that you're here.
I didn't,
and, it is, when I heard that you were coming, it was something really extraordinary for me. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, I mean, Hoagie Carmichael is one of the great songwriters represented, I think, by 3 songs on this album. But so is Screamin' Jay Hawkins on another sort of end of the musical spectrum. And I wonder if you could talk about I Put a Spell on You. I mean, you really put your own stamp on that one, obviously.
Oh, I don't know. I think, you just hear a song and sometimes you just think, I want to wrestle this one down. I mean, it's so wild, it's so machismo. He's so drunk when he recorded it. So I read. So free abandon, And I felt, that's interesting. Maybe I can kind of come up with the response from the female perspective. So I've said, it's not a vengeful, when I sing it, it's not vengeful. I put a spell on you, I'm going to do you in. But it's more about the sensibility of the woman who has been betrayed, the woman who has been abandoned, or whatever, something nasty in the woodwork. It's happened. Put your hands up if you've ever felt betrayed as a woman, Well, there's quite a few of us. And the men, you can put your hands up too. I mean, it's just about,
how about betrayed by
everybody in the room.
Let's
It's so interesting that music is such a potent and powerful means of communication, and you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it. You hear it here through this olfactory and all this kind of business here, the mechanism, and somehow it goes into the brain, and somehow the consciousness is affected, and then the heart comes into it, the intellect, and then the feet and the body, and then you have to move. And I'm infected with music, in the best possible way, and I think I always was. I think we all have that potentiality to hear it and respond, How wonderful.
Yes, who's, changed his style and presentation, has a strong visual sense. I mean, as do you, obviously.
I should say, just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So, what was it like working with him?
Well, he was absolutely charming, and like all of these events where you have a lot of musicians coming in together and to be sort of corralled into doing rehearsals, there's a lot of organized chaos around these things. And he was so elegant and so lovely and funny, very, very funny. He's very witty. And so we did a rehearsal, and it was like, it really was like taking a dive out from a plane and not knowing if your parachute was going to open, because that song is hard. That's not an easy song to sing by any means. And we had to decide who's taking which part. And of course I was in awe of him. I would still be in awe of him if he walked in here tonight at Barnes and Noble. We'd all be like, "Oh, Mr. Bowie," because I adore him, and he's an extraordinary sort of force. And it was all, I could hardly believe that I was singing with him. I just felt so privileged. And then he said to me, "So what are you going to wear? Have you decided what you're going to wear?"
Perfect.
He said, "I think you should wear a frock." He said, "Go to Anthony Price and get him to make you a frock." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that, okay." So then I sort of thought, what would the dress be? What would the character be that performs with David Bowie on this HIV/AIDS event? And I had this picture of this black dress with a silver top that's a bit like armor, like a man's going into battle. But actually, this character for me was representing death. And I felt that when I played with him on stage, that it was almost like the virus, that I was being the virus. I was seducing him. This is all, you don't need to know this kind of shit.
This is great.
You do. Maybe you do.
Please do. Yes, we do. Fantastic. A somewhat related question here. Annie, how did you become involved with AIDS in South Africa?
It's fantastic. But, okay, so, I have to say that Mood Indigo is just celebratory. At the end, it's so ironic because to me, it's like a New Orleans funeral march, Mood Indigo, you know. But it's a song about depression, in my view. It's a song about the blues, the dark aspect of the soul. And yet, at the end of the day, at the very, very end, it kind of bookends the album. We go out on this kind of like mad, rolling celebration of life and a funeral march like that, but it's New Orleans style. I think we should all live our lives in that spirit, in that fashion.
Absolutely.
It's very simple, and I mean, I'm just one of those people that, you know, I'm a bit of a Luddite, but I really love going on YouTube because I look at it as a down the rabbit hole experience. You know, you never know what you're going to find. And, well, also I think in a way, I've been around for a few decades as a musician. Thank you. And you know, in the ever-changing environment of music and the music industry, which is another thing, it's a rare thing to sort of have had the chance to have made many records over many years and to still feel connected to that force that is music. And that, in fact, is the thing that has always guided me most, is that I am fascinated by music.